Back with Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts, the 1940 Britain campaign. I had a pretty significant battle last episode out here in the middle of the North Sea. It was a battleship versus battleship encounter with some cruisers involved as well, and I think the Germans had a destroyer. It went pretty well for us in the end. Sank all three of the enemy ships, a battleship, the Gneisenau, a heavy cruiser, and a destroyer, and did not lose any ships of our own. So it was a pretty lopsided outcome. However, I'm not sure if we really beat the Germans as much as outlasted them. It was a long battle, and pretty much everybody ran dry of main gun ammo. And our battleship, the Albemarle, which is one of the smaller, one of the smaller battleships, relatively, it's 55,000 tons. But Albemarle came within a whisker of sinking herself. I think it was down around 10% structure. And the saving grace is that the German battleships have reduced gun ammo. And so Gneisenau pounded her quite hard and got her down to about 10%. I thought I was going to lose that battleship. And then ran dry of 16-inch ammo. And despite having taken so much damage and quite a bit of flooding as well, Albemarle still had, I think, almost 200 rounds left at that point. And now Gneisenau wasn't shooting back. And Albemarle had not lost a turret amongst all that damage. And so it was just enough. And but our battleship ran out of ammo as well, just as flooding finally caught up and the German battleship went down. So the battle was closer than the outcome would suggest. Anyway, that is done. Those ships went back into port for repair. Albemarle will be out for 9 months. And that's showing 19% right now. We're still in the same month. I haven't advanced. But I believe Albemarle was showing lower than that during the battle. So maybe when a ship first goes into repair, even if it's the same month, maybe they get credit for a tick up in repair that same month. I guess. I don't know. I've never really looked at it that close. Because this battleship was lower than 19% at the end of that battle. Okay, just a little kind of housekeeping. We have a few ships that went back into port or got repaired, and they're not in the North Sea. Let me move those around. I guess I could have done that off camera. Okay, I think they're Portsmouth. No. This one might be repairing. Yeah, that was Lancaster coming out of the battle I was just talking about. How about these guys? Yeah, let's get Antrim and Manchester back over to the North Sea. Clear, 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 clear. And just because, no good reason, but I like Yarmouth to be the destroyer town. Also, following the power projection experiment I did, I have kind of moved back to our previous posture on sea control and in being. Most of the fleet is in being. The operational battleships are in sea control, as well as a few of our heavy cruisers. I'm kind of rebuilding our little destroyer squadron here of O-class destroyers. Once these guys are built, and we have 4 again. I'll pop these back onto sea control. Out of Yarmouth. Just seeing this makes me think of something. This has nothing to do with Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts, really, but in a previous campaign, I think it was the 1920 German one, the last one, this name here, I pronounced it a certain way in one of those episodes. A viewer commented that I had mispronounced it, which I had. I was wrong. But then it turns out they were off too on how it was pronounced. Not a criticism at all. I just think it's an observation that, you know, you go your whole life, or, you know, you go for such a long time, and you know a word, right? You've read it many times. You know, if it's a proper name like this, you know exactly what it refers to, or what, you know, who or where, or if it's just a regular old word, you've read it many, many, many times. So you're familiar with the word, but you've never actually heard anyone pronounce it. And when you first read it years ago, you know, your brain, as you're reading along, just kind of pronounces it a certain way in your mind, and it could be completely wrong, you know. And so one of the typical recurring cruiser names in the Royal Navy is this word here, which is named for it's a county, I think, up here in the northern part of Ireland. I do not know if it is on the Irish side or the Northern Ireland side. I think it's one of the 6 counties that make up Northern Ireland. But I first read it probably 40 years ago, and in my mind I've always pronounced it Donegal, and that's not correct. It's and then the viewer said, no, I think it's Donegal, and it's not. This is pronounced Donegal, which I just learned because I looked it up, and it's just an observation. I think it's funny how, you know, there's a word you know, have known it for a long time, but if you never actually hear anyone say it, you know, your brain gets it wrong. Anyway, enough of that. I just thought it was funny. Okay, moving ships around, got ships repairing, the war continues. Germany has lost yet another battleship and another heavy cruiser, for good measure. The power projection number has not changed yet. I have not advanced a turn. It'll be interesting to see if it does change. And as mentioned last episode, and the episode before that, they have laid down a ton of new construction. Let's see if we can't get this war ended by forcing a revolution in Germany before these get completed. And these are new designs too. You know, München class, Saxon class. They've got a new destroyer class, the V10. So, you know, who knows what they're doing with these. I haven't seen a ton of discovered new technology messages. I'm sure they've researched some. I just don't remember a whole lot of them. Anyway, on to August 1942. War continues. I had forgotten that, yeah, they put out a peace feeler an episode or two ago, to which we again said nope. All right, there's a battle here, and apparently we've now run up right by Kiel on the Baltic side. One of our light cruisers has run over there and is a kind of one of their light cruisers. And I think this is the kind of the smaller gun. I think this is one of the 6-inchers. but I think she'll do fine. I think. Let's see. RDF says that our enemy is... Did I put RDF on this ship? I may not have. Only X, well, so they spot us already. Oh, there she is. Okay. Just look around instead of looking at your stupid RDF, Bram. That's why I wasn't getting an RDF. You know, you don't get that if the ship's actually spotted. Interesting, for both ships, apparently spotting range is farther than gunnery range. What's our conditions? Oh, it literally is, despite it looks foggy, kind of hazy, apparently conditions are as good as they possibly can be in all respects. Let's see, what's the range? They got a 14-kilometer range on their torpedoes. We're at, okay, so we're within torpedo range. It's possible she already fired. Pretty sure that the German light cruisers, yeah, they've got 7-inch guns. And these are single mounts, not duels, on ours, because I built these kind of economically. Getting a lot of ricochets here. It's our pin chance. Let's go HE. Just slow it down a little bit so I don't get myself... It is a 1v1. It's a lot easier to keep track of torpedoes that way. I'm just going to keep it on X3, I think, for now. .2%, 1.6%. So we have an accuracy advantage, but it's pretty low for both ships. She smoking? Yeah, okay. They're smoking up. With such a low hit percentage, I don't feel a need to smoke myself, because that does hurt your own accuracy as well. That was a nice pop. I don't... Yeah, with such low armor, I think HE is fine. For that matter. I don't remember what I did for armor on these things. A little bit more. There's another penetration with fire and flooding. The 6-inchers are doing the job. One light cruiser configure. I haven't used it in this campaign or any of the recent ones I've posted, I think. But one light cruiser configuration I really like is 4 or even 5 6-inch triple turrets with full auto reloading and increased ammo allowance. That's a pretty fun ship. Because they just, it's 6-inch, not 7, but it just pumps out so much volume of fire over a short period of time. And even when they're going up against a heavy cruiser, they just throw out so much HE, quickly that puts a pretty big hurt on them. I think I'll try for a design like that in the next campaign I do, whatever it may be. Don't really know what I'm going to do for the next series yet. I kind of did it a little bit here with the encounter class, where I built a whole bunch of these kind of economically priced light cruisers with an idea toward seeing if that had any effect on transport sinkings and power projection. And it's hard to get a read on that because we've got a number of other ships, including other light cruiser ship classes. So how much these really contributed to our 110 power projection, I don't know. And won't be able to tell for sure until we get to the campaign end. But I have this feeling that transports are being sunk. But for some reason, maybe a glitch in the patch or something, have not been seeing the transport sunk messages. So I'm not really sure what effect that has been having. But I've had an idea of just taking that concept to its extreme and trying to do a run with nothing but high range, modestly priced light cruisers. And just see what that does. I mean, one would get a lot of battles where the cruisers maybe just ought to run away, right? So it might be kind of a boring series, but I'm tempted to try it. And then some other stuff that's come up in my ramblings during these videos and comments here and there are typically, not always, it depends on the era and it depends on the how you build the ships. But generally, I have found that the cheapest per ton ship type for me usually is whatever I've built for a heavy cruiser. They're not cheap ships. Their overall cost is more than a light cruiser or a destroyer. But they're the cheapest per ton. You can buy 1 ton of heavy cruiser for less than 1 ton of light cruiser. And that's true in this campaign as well. This class, this is the cheap class of light cruiser, is about $3,300 per ton, which interestingly is right about what our more expensive battleship is. And the Good Hope class of heavy cruiser are cheaper at about $3,000 per ton. So my thought is, if you go with, you know, a decently capable, not necessarily totally high end, but don't really have to skimp a whole lot either, you could build a heavy cruiser class and might actually be able to afford more overall warship tonnage that way, just building those. And what effect would that have on power projection? And the heavy cruisers, you know, would be able, you'd be able to fight more battles too. Still would have to probably run from battleships. After maybe, you know, a torpedo attempt, perhaps. Okay. Well, those would be aimed kind of this way. Let's just come on over like this. I think. How exactly are these running? Oh, yeah. Should be a fine. Well, I think actually we're close enough. Let's just throw a few torpedoes at her. Ours run fast, and they're slowed down a good bit, so she may have trouble avoiding. Matter of fact, if there weren't torpedoes, no, she can do it. Let's just flip around and shoot the other side. Ah. Let's make sure she has a nice solution for this run. Shoot fast, though. This torpedo's coming this way. No. Here. Oh, I may have gotten myself in trouble. Oh, she's going to slip past. I think. Okay. Alright, flip around while she's reloading. She could have launchers loaded, though. I'm kind of messing this up. I had a sure thing, and I could wind up getting myself in trouble. Yeah, okay. She got a torpedo hit on the sinking hulk. Okay. That was a fairly short battle. I think we can press ahead. See what else happens here in September. Nothing, apparently. Pretty interesting, though. They've laid down more. Another Saxon BB. No, that's a heavy cruiser class. They've laid down 3 more lights and 2 more heavies. Interestingly, Saxon is a new class. We have not seen that. But they're also still laying down... they lay down a Cormoran class as well. So that's kind of interesting. You know, they'll design and start building a new class of a certain type, but that doesn't mean they stop building some of the older ones. Also notice, you know, they lost a battleship and a heavy cruiser, and a destroyer a turn or two ago in our last big battle, their power projection number has not changed, and we've advanced through two months since then. That's interesting as well. Don't know how to explain it, and I don't know if that's mechanics or just this power projection calculation maybe is just buggy and not really working as fully intended. Your guess is as good as mine. October, and they want peace again. This is the fourth, maybe fifth time they've asked. Once again, we tell the Prime Minister, nope, the Navy wants to keep fighting. Eventually, it's possible that our government will make peace anyway, despite our recommendation. And there we go. There's another batch of new ships. Munchen, 2 more V1s, older class of destroyer, not the new V10s. They are trying to make their losses good. Power projection has not changed. November. War continues. Okay. Power projection has not changed. And here's another batch. One of the older battleships, not a Saxon, a Siegfried. I'm getting those names messed up. Saxon is a heavy cruiser. It's the second time I've done that. I think they do have a new battleship class, though. I just don't remember the name of it. An older destroyer. Another battle cruiser. That's an original one. That's not a new class. We did get one of our destroyers built. I don't know if that was the first or the backwards. Okay, we've got 3 O-class destroyers in commission here in Yarmouth. These Observer and Omicron have been here since the beginning. Oscar and Odysseus are new, and so they're at Cadet. Well, that's good enough to bang up on some transports. Let's put these in sea control. Guess I could have done that in group. Let's put a couple more. Yeah, I had these toward the bottom. Donegal, Hawk, Minotaur, and Narcissus. Maybe. I don't know if I've ever heard anyone say that either. I put them in sea control because Kent, Lancaster, Black Prince, and Drake, they'd been getting I was trying to get them some battles. They haven't so far. Let's put a couple more in sea control. Roxburgh, powerful. Get out there. Kill something. We'll get Audacious back next turn. One of the bigger battleships. Still no change to power projection. Let's keep going. December. Okay, and somehow, despite the fact that they haven't actually added any ships to their operational forces, Germany has broken the blockade. And then we turn right back around and blockade them again. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, I don't know. You're seeing it. I'm seeing it. I haven't the foggiest idea what's going on with these power projection calculations. Anyway, So this is the start of the new blockade, I guess, which apparently happened, was imposed a few minutes after the last blockade ended. Okay. And now we enter 1943. Let's see if they decide to fight. And they want to make peace. We say no. And we're getting... Oh, no, we're ambushing them. Okay. This is not what I built these destroyers for. They have one triple launcher apiece. I think this is kind of asking for trouble. And these destroyers were intended primarily for generating convoy battles and tearing up merchants. They're gunnery focused, not torpedo focused. Just out of curiosity, and I may regret doing this, I could just skip past the battle. I don't know if I'd lose any VP for that. Or, more accurate, I don't know if Germany would gain any VP for that. If they do, it's not a, it's so lopsided it doesn't really hurt. I'm just kind of curious to see, though, what happens if I auto-resolve this? Watch me lose 2 destroyers here. No, just a bunch of damage. We did get heavy damage on the Vetten. That's okay. So that battleship is going to be out for several months at whatever cost it costs Germany to repair it. Kaiserin will be out for probably 2 or 3 months with medium damage. I mean, all our destroyers are damaged as well. And they are pretty expensive to repair, but not nearly as much as a battleship is. I think I'm okay with that. Okay. This may have happened a turn or two ago and I missed it. But Collingwood and Royal Sovereign have commissioned into the fleet. That was actually what probably prompted the reblockade with higher power projection. However, Royal Sovereign, apparently I didn't have enough to crew them. I do now. But we've seen before that this crew pool, that's pretty wonky too. I just missed it. So let's get Royal Sovereign crewed up. There we go. That Scapa Flow with the other. And Royal Sovereign has veteran crew. Just entered the fleet. Mothballed. So when I set this crew, it had to come out of the crew pool. And apparently they were veteran? And where would those veterans have come from? We haven't lost ships or scrapped any or... And also, I just took a couple thousand people out of this crew pool, but this number didn't go down when I crewed up Royal Sovereign. I don't know how to explain that either. I don't know if it's explainable. Maybe it's just bugs. Oh, the reason I went into fleet was all these destroyers are repairing now. Pop them back into in-being. And 3 of them went to Barry in the North Atlantic. So they're not really in the North Sea anyway. (1944). War continues, no battles. recommend refusal again. April 1943. War continues, no battles. They're laying down more ships. Heavy cruiser. 4 heavy cruisers. Yet another battle cruiser. So assuming that these aren't all suspended, Germany is spending, it has got to be their entire budget on all this construction. I can't see how they can afford it. And that begs the question of what's happening with these operational ships. Are some of these mothballed? No, they're not. If they were, I don't think they would appear here. That's actually a good question. Do mothballed ships appear here in this tally? They don't appear over an active fleet, right? If I were to mothball a ship here, let's say I mothballed Royal Sovereign again, it would show 9 BBs here. I don't know if it would show 9 BBs here. Well, let's just see. Let's pick a random something, you know, it'll go, I don't know what crew quality they're going to be coming out, so let's just do one of these. We just mothball Weymouth. Well, it is mothballed. These were built and the same thing happened to them. Okay, well. So we currently are showing 31 light cruisers here, 31 light cruisers here. Okay. So they're the same. Therefore, I think we can assume that mothballed ships are not counted in either tally, which means none of these are mothballed. So they're still spending it, you know, at least in being maintenance for these, and they're building tons and tons of ships under blockade, no less. And their power projection has dropped despite not having recently lost any ships. I mean, I know we just sank a light cruiser, but that was several months ago. Several months ago. It was actually before the second blockade, per se. And they started this blockade with something like, I think it was 50-something thousand, so their power projection has dropped despite not losing any ships. I don't think they've mothballed any. So why have they dropped? I don't know. May 1943. And we finally have a battle. Looks like a pretty big heavy cruiser battle out here in the North Sea, and we're actually outnumbered. Okay, well, I know I said, hey, let's try to get another battle in. However, it's been a lot of month advancing and me jabbering on. So I'm going to call the episode here, and we will see how our heavy cruisers do against theirs in the next episode. Thank you for watching.